one of the most common lines you'll hear as a bouncer is, "That's not mine." So, hey guys, my name is Mike. I'm a former New York City bouncer. I worked in the biggest nightclub in New York for 5 years. I was kind of our head of narcotics over there. And it was a very great job. It was very intense. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed protecting people. I really enjoyed, protecting the innocent and the weak from predators, from, date rape suspects and gangs, organized crime, drug dealers, people selling fake drugs, fucking selling freaking laundry detergent and shit like that, or guys that came in with some date rape drugs and catching a guy like that before he can get to a girl. There's some fucked up shit that I saw that we dealt with. And like I said, for those reasons, it was a very rewarding job. So let's talk about "That's Not Mine." So one of the major jobs that I had, and one of the major jobs of any bouncer, is to make sure that people can come into the club without any drugs and without being armed. So people come in and you give them a quick little pat down, and let them into the club, depending on how serious it is, depending on the type of crowd. So if you have let's say Sting, who was a big rocker from the 80s, he's throwing a concert and you have a bunch of 40 to 60, 70-year-olds coming in to watch a Sting concert. You're not going to fucking pat them down for weapons. You're not going to search their pockets for drugs and all that. You might give them a little pat down based on, if there's going to be any VIPs there, because you don't want, in New York especially, you don't want any terrorism or anything like that. But for the most part, people come in, you just check their tickets and that's it. Let them in. But then on another concert where you might have an EDM night, which is a lot of what we did, 2,000 to 8,000 people showing up to this club and fucking, popping mollies, doing ecstasy, heroin, not heroin really, but, coke, party drugs, right, pot, things like that, underage kids sneaking in alcohol, all that stuff. If you had those kinds of situations, those kinds of parties, you would have to search people very thoroughly. Most of the time, they weren't coming in with weapons. Some of the wannabe drug dealers might have a fucking little knife or something on them. For the most part, or you had girls that had pepper spray. And when girls were drunk, we would have to take their pepper spray, because when girls get drunk or high, and they just get angry with each other, they'll whip out the pepper spray and they'll spritz that shit in a crowd, and it could fuck up, a lot of people. And we've had that happen before, for sure. So let's just talk about "That's Not Mine." And "That's Not Mine" is when you pat somebody down and you feel a little lump in their pocket, and you say, "What's that?" "Oh, it's nothing." And you reach in their pocket, you pull out a fucking baggie with some pills in it or something like that, right? And they go, "That's not mine." I don't understand why. Actually, I do understand, because I've been doing it for a long time. But why people say that? I literally just took drugs out of your pocket. The first thing you say is, "That's not mine." I like how people say that, as if that's some kind of defense that's going to hold up in court. We're not even in court yet. You're not in front of a jury or anything like that. You have drugs that are on you. When it's in your possession, guess what? That is yours. And in New York, at least at the time that I was working, even if it was a fucking little baggie of laundry detergent or flour or sugar, but it looks like fucking narcotics, it looks like drugs, that is still going to be treated, and you will be charged with drug possession, with illegal drug possession, until it's tested and all of that and your intent is realized. But at that point, you're fucked no matter what. And there was a lot of street justice in the bouncing community. There's a lot of guys out there who, they would want to fucking teach you some kind of lesson, because lots of times, man, we had so many people that would disrespect us. They would treat us like shit or whatever, fuck you, blah, 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 just let me in the club. And then when you pat them down and you find drugs on them, all of a sudden they go, "Oh, I'm so sorry." They're so, so beautiful and nice and respectful to you. Or they fucking fight back. They say, "What are you doing? Leave me alone. You're not a cop. Give me back my drugs. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah." They'd be complete fucking assholes. So, we just got sick of it. And, there was the street justice kind of stuff, a lot of vigilantism and whatnot. And, in the case of a guy who's going, that's not mine, one of our favorite things to do was, we try and get him to say, hold on. Logically, this is yours. You should admit to your fault. You made a fucking mistake. Admit to it. Don't be some fucking scumbag who runs around the streets saying that's not mine. You punch somebody in the face and you go, oh, that's not my fault. I was abused as a kid. It's not my fault. I'm a victim of my circumstances. Well, in this case, you're a victim of your own stupidity because you got fucking drugs in your pocket. And so we'd try and get them to admit to saying these are your drugs. So admit to the fact that these are your drugs right here. And if you don't, then we're going to do what we would have to do, which is normal protocol is we find the drugs, then we would go bring that person with their drugs and their ID to the NYPD who's standing right outside of our club. Because we work very closely with the precinct in that department to help them with their drug numbers, right? So they knew they had drug issues or whatever, they would come to us and say, listen, we want some hard narcotics arrests or whatever. And we say, no problem. We'd pass along any kind of drug possession, drug dealers, that kind of stuff. We'd pass them along to the NYPD for processing. We had a great relationship with them. We'd look out for them. And then, if the club had some kind of a little transgression, like maybe we had a little overcrowding one night or one of our bouncers fucked somebody up a little hard, then the cops would look out for us and give us a little bit of deference. So we had a great relationship with the cops. So we'd tell the guy, right? Got some drugs on you. Admit that these are yours, and we'll throw out the drugs, we'll kick you out. Let you go about your day. If you don't want to admit that these are yours, and you don't want to take responsibility for your fuck up, then we'll just pass these and you along to the cops, and you can plead your case to them. And of course, the cops are not going to care. Once they see drugs in your possession, they got you, that's it, crime committed, put you in handcuffs, take you to jail. You can protest all you want, cops don't care, because their job is not to listen to your case, help you fight your battles. Their job is to take you to a judge who's going to hear your case, after the weekend's over on Monday. So yeah, we try and get them to say one way or the other, admit it. If they didn't want to fucking admit it, they didn't want to learn, then they would pass them on to the cops. And, I had a situation where one night, super busy night, hundreds of people coming into the club in front of me. I'm talking with, I had maybe over 1,000 conversations that night just because I'm talking with so many people coming in and out and stuff like that. I wasn't working the front doors where everybody's coming in. I was working in the back by the smoking section. People had to go outside in the street to smoke cigarettes and they'd come back in. So oftentimes people would come in through the front door, they would get searched, patted down, no drugs on them. Then they go out to the smoking section, and whether they smoked or not, they would go out there, they'd go to their car, they'd go down the street where they hid some drugs inside somewhere, and then they'd put that shit in their socks or in their pocket, trying to walk back into the smoking section. Well, surprise, surprise, I was there fucking patting people down, and I was the best. I was the best at catching people with drugs. I know where everybody would hide them. I know everything about it. And you guys will hear more and more stories about that. So this one guy comes back in, right? Pat him down, find some pills on him. He's got like 4 pills in a baggie, 4 different colored pills, right? And they're not fucking aspirins. I know that they're, actually I remember, yeah. They were like 3 pink Adderall pills and a blue Adderall pill, right? So the pink ones I think are 20 or 30 milligrams and the blues are 10 milligrams, 5 or 10s. So, of Adderall. So this guy comes back in and, he goes, oh, these are my drugs, these are my prescriptions. I said, yeah, but they're not in a labeled pill bottle. You're coming into a nightclub with a lot of, 4 Adderalls. I mean, come on, what are you going to be doing with those? You're probably not selling them. Are you going to be popping 4 Adderall? Well, I guess you could, right? I suppose depending on how much you have, because, I know I could have popped 4 Adderalls in one shot too. So, yeah, whatever. But the point is that the guy was being fucking disrespectful, right? He comes up to me and, first off, he's lying to me that he's got drugs on him. Then when I find them, he goes, those aren't mine. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They are yours. He goes, well, yeah, they are mine, but, I have a prescription for them, and, just let me in. These are my drugs. And, and I said, look, man, I'm going to do you a big favor. I'm just going to throw these drugs out and I'm going to kick your ass out of here. And he goes, so leave, give me back my drugs, blah, blah, blah. And I had a garbage can next to me, right, where I pat people down and search them. This garbage can, dude, it was full of fucking, like, drinks, water. It's a disgusting garbage can. Sometimes there's puke in there from people vomiting into them. I mean, it's just gross. And, but mostly it's just drinks, right? So because people want to go outside and have a cigarette, you can't bring their drinks outside. So they just dump their drink right there in that garbage can, go outside. So whenever I would find drugs on people, cocaine or whatever, I could rip the baggie open, dump the coke in there. That's it. There's no fucking way you're going to get the drugs out of there. You're going to get the stuff. Anyways, I tell the guy, I said, get the fuck out of here. Take his Adderalls, dump them in the garbage. I said, get the fuck out. And he's like, leave me, give me back my fucking drugs. You owe me for that, blah, blah, blah. I said, you motherfucker. And I fucking grab him and I rough him up. I grab him, shove him up against the fucking wall. I said, you can get the fuck out of here. Don't give me a fucking problem. And then I, pick him up by his fucking shirt and I shove his ass out the door and I, boom, kick him out through the doors, right out into the street. And so, out in the street, I mean, there's I don't know, over 100, 200 people lined up going down the block, tons of people. There's maybe over 100 something people in the smoking section because, there's thousands of people inside the club. So there's, always couple hundred people outside smoking. There's cops out there. There's other bouncers out there in the sidewalks and out by the doors, making sure everything's safe and letting people in or whatnot. And, I kind of work on the inside little ways when people come in. So I push this motherfucker out and that's it. I go back inside. And I get on the radio and say, hey, this guy's been kicked out for, drug possession or whatever. And the guy say, okay, we say 86. I say 86, drug possession. Fuck that dude, don't let him back in. Because sometimes they try and beg and weasel their way back in, and sometimes we would let him in. Our guys at the front door would. So this guy fucking goes to the cops and he tells them, hey, that guy in there, he robbed me. He took my pills and he roughed me up and look what he did to me. Look at my bruise on my face and this and that. And, and I get a call on the radio and I hear, hear my supervisor, hey, Mike, this guy out here, can you come outside? We got to talk real quick. I said, yeah, I'm on the way. So, and I had a radio, like a little earpiece thing, whatever. You talk here and I had a little earpiece as well. So I go outside and this guy, and the cops are all, they're three cops are standing there, looking at me and they go, hey, Mike, this guy says that you took his drugs. You robbed him, he took his drugs. Is that true? I said, yeah, I took his drugs. I threw him out, but, if he wants him back, I'll bring him back. And, I said, do you want him back? The guy goes, yeah, I want him back. And the cops are like, kind of laughing, like, yeah, sure, go bring back his drugs. Let's do this. I said, yeah, I'll be right back. So I go up to that little garbage can that I had, or big ass garbage can full of, shit in there. And now I've been working there for a couple hours at this point. Okay. So I've been dumping out lots of pills. Okay. Not just bags of coke and shit, but there's a lot of pills in that thing. So I go in there and the garbage that night though wasn't that full of there was no vomit in there. Okay. There was, a couple of drinks and stuff in there, but I went, dumped the garbage out on the floor. And, called guys to come and clean it. But I dumped it out on the floor and I fucking picked out every pill I could find. I had the guy had, I said, I threw about 5 of his. I found another 15, 16 pills, all kinds of fucking different shit. There's Molly's, there's this, there's that, all kinds of random fucking pills. I said, I'll give this guy his fucking pills back. And I grabbed those pills, put them all in my hands like this. I walked back outside. Here you go. I said, here's his pills. And I take all these pills, I pass them, put them in a cop's hand, and a guy looks, he goes, those aren't mine, that's not mine. And me and the cops, we all look at each other and we go, that's what they all say. Because that's exactly what happens. That's what they all say. And you know what, that motherfucker, he got booked, he got arrested, felony possession with intent to distribute. And you know what, I hope he learned his fucking lesson. And I know he did. I know he learned his lesson. Don't fucking come in with drugs and then you get the gift of being thrown out. You don't go to jail, nothing. And you're going to go out and start accusing somebody of robbing you, of taking your drugs, all that stuff. Okay, we'll give you back your drugs, no problem. So if you ever get kicked out of a fucking nightclub, don't do that. Just look at it as a blessing. Say, you know what? I lost, $100, $200 worth of Coke or Molly's or whatever I had in my pocket, but at least I'm not going to jail. And you know what? That guy did go to jail, but I went to court later. What do you call it? He went before a judge, whatever. I'm sure they released him on bond. But then later on, when I went back to court because there was a grand jury indictment against him for possession. They had to bring in the district attorneys and all that stuff. And I went in there, and you know what? I told them, I said, I don't know if those were his drugs. I can't really remember, this kind of thing, right? And I pretty much made the whole case fall apart right there, right when they were going to be, going to prosecute this asshole. He's a first-time offender and all that stuff, but I don't want to get him in trouble, right? Like, this was all meant to scare the living fuck out of him, and it did. And it probably cost him a couple $100, maybe in attorney's fees, maybe in bond, something like that, right? Point being that hopefully he learned his lesson. Hopefully he dropped the drugs. Because I've been arrested, I've gone to jail. It's not fun. I didn't get a fucking second chance. I didn't get somebody who, showed up to court later and said, I don't remember if this guy was doing this and that. I wasn't that lucky. That guy was very fucking lucky. And I hope he's out there someday, somewhere, with a family and kids and like living a normal, happy life. And hopefully he finished off with that nightlife stuff, because it will kill you. I've seen people who were in it and, they never learned their lesson. I'd catch them over and over again with drugs. I'd catch one dude, put him in jail, find him a year later, 2 years later, catch him with drugs again. And then one day he stops coming because he's fucking dead. So, point being is, don't be that motherfucker, okay? If it's yours, accept responsibility for it. Have a plan if you're gonna get caught. But the best thing is just be honest. If that guy had been honest with me from the beginning, I probably would throw his drugs out and let him in the club anyways. Just have a good time, enjoy yourself. And he could have went and fucking bought some more from some drug dealer who'd probably be in there anyways, even though we did our best to keep him out. Anyways, that's my story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. So please like and subscribe.